Welcome to the Kindness Project, the podcast designed to share stories of kindness and share how kindness can make positive change in our world, one small act at a time.
This episode of the Kindness Project was recorded live on Facebook during lockdown, which explains why we're probably still talking about being stuck indoors. I hope you're enjoying your time outside to the fullest, and thanks for listening to the Kindness Project. In the Kindness Project, we talk about positive news, philosophical questions, and we're joined by Louise Baker.
Good morning, welcome to hey dudes. Welcome to the Sunday morning edition of the Kindness Project. I'm joined by a girl who is rocking a bit of plaid at the minute. I like the shirt, Charlotte.
Thank you.
It's Charlotte Dames.
And I'm joined by the man who picked a very weird time to start reading the paper.
You know what?
It's Chris Dames.
I only buy a paper over a weekend. I normally get the Eye, and I was just flicking through it to see if I could find any positive news stories.
Just be glad he hasn't suggested we start a Sunday segment of the Eye quiz.
Right, what's the matter with the Eye quiz? The Eye quiz is amazing. And we are joined by a special Sunday morning guest today. There's only one phrase that I think about Louise when I think about her, and I've said her name too early. That was weird. Loving your work. It's Louise from Postcards of Kindness. How are you, Louise?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you both?
We're doing all right.
Good, yeah.
We're doing well. We're doing well. Let's talk about what should we talk about today?
Tonight, you're usually the one that plans everything.
Yeah. Now,
I set up, you plans.
Now,
it's a system.
So I do the work, and you just like bolt up and go like, well, what should we?
This is my job.
This is my job. Firstly, let's say hello while we think about something to talk about this morning. We'll say hello to Steve, Paul, Desmond, Justin and Russell, who have tuned in this bright and early morning. And I just want to talk about one thing. Now, we've been running the Kindness Project, Louise, now for about 2.5 years. And thanks for coming back on, because I know you've been on our audio podcast already, haven't you?
I have, yes, yeah.
So thanks for coming on and joining us. Your audio podcast was one of our most popular ones, actually. So we really appreciate you coming back for the live. But
That's quite all right.
Thank you. But as you know, we do a thing on the Kindness Project called Question of the Podcast, right? Mm-hmm. And we try and mix the questions up between some really deep philosophical questions and just some like stuff that just is every day.
And while we expect people to jump on the deep philosophical questions to share their opinions, we actually get more answers on stuff like, who's your favourite Muppet?
I'm
pretty sure that was my question. I got a question about which Muppet would you be?
and remind us who's your favourite Muppet?
I think I said Baker, the scientist. I love his crazy hair.
Baker's a good choice. Animal's the right answer, clearly, but let's not even go there. But we asked a question earlier this week that beat the Muppet question for the first time in 2 years.
I know.
And it was about ice cream flavours. Like literally, I asked the question, and we had to continue the answers into the next live show because there was just so many.
And also because you posted the question shortly before this episode.
That is true. So, Louise, what's your favourite ice cream flavour?
Pistachio.
Fine choice. Nutty? I like a nutty choice. But I thought, look, let's follow that theme and let's follow that thread and let's ask a question that was as pointless as what's your favourite ice cream flavour, as opposed to deep, like what do you want to be remembered for when you die? And I went for what's your favourite crisp flavour?
So that's today's question of the podcast.
And that's today's question of the podcast. So if you're watching live, Sarah, Ian, Hazel, Russ, and you haven't answered already on the stream we've got on our Facebook or on Twitter or something like that, the question of the podcast is what's your favourite crisp flavour? Louise, what's your thought on that?
I would say salt and vinegar.
Salt and vinegar? Yeah, good choice. Good choice. Somebody reminded me, actually, and again, I will talk about it later in the podcast, that I think it was Walker's years ago, brought out a hedgehog flavoured ice cream. Not ice cream, hedgehog flavoured crisp.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
What do hedgehogs even taste like?
Don't know. I think. What do you, sorry, we're getting comments from the audience. What was that?
Just said delicious.
Delicious. Apparently, is the answer. Can you let people know where they can find us?
Okay, so if you are watching this live, welcome. You're already in our Facebook. But if you're not, if you just search the Kindness Project podcast in the search bar, it just pops up, which is absolutely brilliant, and it makes it very easy finding the page. I have tried it multiple times.
Good.
The Twitter is at Ola Kindness.
Yeah.
The website is, if you just search it, which is actually pretty brilliant too,
Yeah.
it will crop up. The email is ola@thekindnessproject.co.uk. And I think I've covered them all. MySpace, Friends Reunited.
Yeah, Friends Reunited is www.friendsreunited.com/we don't exist anymore. That's where we are on Friends Reunited. If you're new to the Kindness Project, and you might be, this is a little podcast that we've been running for a couple of years, dedicated to just sharing stories of amazing people doing great things in the world, which is why we've got Louise on to tell us about the project that she runs, which is pretty amazing stuff.
I had an answer for the question.
Oh, yeah, Sarah Jane Griffiths said McCoy flame grilled steak flavour, which sounds pretty tasty, actually. Now, one thing we do, Louise, we've got an amazing friend of mine called Dave, who does a bit of research for us every single day.
Well, it's not specifically for...
Well, it's not specifically for us, but he does share it with us every day, and he shares a little thing he calls reasons to be cheerful.
No, we call it that. He calls it silver linings.
Okay, do you want to tell Louise and our audience about what's going on in Dave's world at the minute?
Okay, so today, this is from an hour ago. Yes, today would have been the London Marathon, with thousands of people visiting over our capital to watch the runners compete, or just complete the 26-mile challenge. It's okay.
Oh no, no, Louise, I was due to run the marathon today.
Oh no.
So I need to work out a way to
run 26 miles today. Go on, mate.
But there's one thing. One thing I want to mention. Shall I go now?
Yeah.
I'll get my coach. Shall I? One thing I want to mention is the 2.6 challenge. So there's a challenge going on at the minute where, and I think it was designed for people who were due to run the marathon and can't, to effectively replace what they're doing so they continue to raise money for charity. Now, I haven't worked out yet what my my thing I need to do to replace the marathon needs to be. And there was somebody who's running for the charity that I was running for, St Francis Hospice, who yesterday, shout out to Andy Furno, who did an amazing DJ set last night. Well done, Andy. Who did 26 miles on a treadmill in her front garden to replicate the marathon. Now, I'm not doing that. But listeners, if you've got any suggestions that where I can replicate 26 of something, I'm thinking, Louise, that I might try just eating 26 cakes. That'd be a fair comparison, wouldn't
No,
it?
because then we'd have to buy 26 cakes or make 26 cakes.
What do you think? What should I do 26 of?
You could write 26 postcards.
See that's a really good idea.
I was gonna suggest you do 26 gym sessions today. Go on, get started.
I'll get my coat. 26 gym sessions in a day. I mean, I think the most I've ever done in a day is probably 6. So adding another 20 to that is probably not what I want to do. Justin Gaffney's given us an answer to today's question in the podcast. He's said prawn cocktail, and Kelly Barker said Walker's Worcester sauce, and Sarah Jane said McCoy's grilled steak. And Justin's getting involved with the 2.6. He's going to eat 2.6 Sunday roasts. That sounds amazing. Washed down with 2.6 bottles of gin. Probably a bit too much gin, mate, if I'm honest. But And Cassie reckons, she's sitting listening from the sofa, she reckons that I should take the mower 26 times down the garden. Nice idea, but we'll save that for later. So yeah, so
I'm not done reading that.
oh, so go on, carry on.
Okay. The Children's Society have decided to challenge us with the number 26 instead, raising money for disadvantaged children. Do something, anything related to the number 26 or 2.6. It's up to you. Have fun.
Yeah.
A London photographer is capturing images of the lockdown through people's windows with their permission.
I'm glad you added the with their permission there, because it would have been weird if there was a photographer who was just taking photos through people's houses.
Hide me.
Yeah, I like those
Hey.
two. They are amazing. So, what are you going to be doing that involves 26 or 2.6? We want to hear your story. So, and thanks again for Dave, who's actually.
I'm going to watch 26 movies.
Are you going to fit in 26 movies in 24 hours?
I'm going to do it.
Are you going to watch multiple movies at the same time?
I've done it before.
Now, Louise, you're on a bit of a mission to watch a movie today, aren't you? You was telling us before the podcast. Are you? Yeah. So, what movie? I know you're going to be watching Harry Potter. What's your favourite Harry Potter movie and why?
I think I like as Prisoner of Azkaban because I love Sirius Black, the character, and I love sort of the realisation of sort of the story arc. So I think I'd say Prisoner of Azkaban is my favourite.
Okay, and
What about you, Pa?
you know what? I haven't seen the last two, to be honest. So I started getting into them, but I've sort of fallen out of love with them. And actually, I think the last two would float my boat. How about you?
I like the first one because like the whole thing is like it's the introduction, so all the kids are kind of like in this sense of amazement and they're just like enjoying everything.
Yeah.
And like even if they're getting into trouble, they're still like, oh, they're just having fun.
Yeah.
And like even when they're not having quite so much fun, they've still got this like little bit of joy.
Yeah. So it's the first one because they're still kids, aren't they? They're still kids.
Having a good time.
Louise, have you been to Harry Potter World?
I have, yeah. We've been twice.
We haven't been yet. Is it any good?
Yeah, it's brilliant, really good. That's on our list of places to go as soon as lockdown's over. Because now we've watched the films again, we can take the children back and they can see everything in context.
Yeah, you know what's interesting. We haven't been yet, but we are certainly getting our after lockdown list of places we need to go. And to be honest, I'm gonna have to take about 3 months off work because the list keeps on growing, right?
Yeah, we're the same. We've got several theme parks and things that we need to go to, so we've got quite a big list.
Yeah. Morning, Loretta. How you doing? And morning, Trev. I hope you're doing well.
Morning, dudes.
Morning, dudes. So, we want to speak to Louise about what she's up to. So, Louise, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, so my name's Louise. Hi. And I am a marketing assistant for a care company called Your Health Limited. And do you know what? We're actually approaching the first anniversary, but this time last year I created a Facebook group that was launched towards the summer, which encourages people to send postcards to care homes.
So it's you've been running just under a year, right?
Yeah, so I think I actually established the Facebook group, sort of got it all set up in April last year. So the Facebook group itself is probably a year old now, but we launched in June.
Yeah.
So not long till our anniversary.
Amazing. And it's called Postcards of Kindness, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Postcards of Kindness, the group.
Tell us about, as opposed to the book or the album or the film or the actual postcards. So tell us a bit about Postcards of Kindness, the group.
So Postcards of Kindness, the reason we call it the group is because when we launched it for our own care company the year before, we used the hashtag Postcards of Kindness, and I wanted people to differentiate, to know that this was the place where they could come. So the group is a community, an online community, currently with 40,500 members. and it's a place where people can come together and find care homes that want to receive post, and a place where care homes can come and share some of the impact of the post they're getting. So it's sort of an all-encompassing community for the Postcards of Kindness project.
Tell me a little bit about where the idea came from.
So the idea actually launched in 2018. We ran it for our company. We've got 10 care homes, and my manager, a lady called Vicky, went on holiday with her family and ran out of family to write postcards to. And her little boy was sort of quite keen to carry on practicing his writing, so she decided to send a postcard each to our 10 homes. And when she got back, we had a bit of a discussion about it all, and thought it'd be really nice if we could launch a bit of a project for our homes to ask their friends and family to send cards. So we launched it out on social media, and it blew up. We didn't expect it to go any further than friends and family, but we had postcards from around the world. So last year we were looking at a way that we could run it again, but that we could involve more people, and the group was born.
Yeah, and we've been involved over the past year, haven't we? You know that? Do you remember that time when you could actually go out? What the last time? I think we were in Rotterdam last year.
We're looking up into the distance as we imagine the scenario.
It could have been Rotterdam or anywhere but home. But it was, so we sent our own postcards in to some of the care homes. How did it work practically? So what do people do to get involved?
So the main thing that people do is join the group first, because that's where all the information is. So come and join the group if you're not already a member. You'll find there spreadsheets. It's the easiest way we found to keep tabs on all of the homes. Every single home that wants to be involved is in a spreadsheet, and you can choose an address any way you fancy, because they're organised in alphabetical or by location, however you choose. Choose as many homes as you want to write to, and pop something in the post. And it doesn't even have to be a postcard. It could be a greetings card, a letter. We have people that send in items for reminiscence, so song lyrics for songs that residents might have sung sort of when they were children. So there's a broad spectrum of things that people are sending now. It's not just holiday postcards, but come and join the group, and that's where it starts.
Amazing. And the project's grown massively over the course of the year. How many care homes are you now? Is your community now sending postcards to? And how many postcards did the
2,000? It's slightly more than 2,000 now, but that was the last big milestone that we went past.
So 2,000 care homes, and do you know how many postcards get sent?
I couldn't hazard a guess. I think we started clocking them in September. So Emily, who made our Google document spreadsheet for us and does a lot of the technical things. So shout out to Emily, because I'm awful with technology.
Thanks, Emily. We appreciate that.
There's a counter on there, so people can sort of click if they've sent a postcard, but it only works for the first postcard that's sent. So we know that we've had at least 10,500 postcards sent out since September, but that's only on the basis that each home has only received one card a week, and also doesn't count what was sent from June. So we're in the region of tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands of postcards. And what do you think the residents of the care homes who receive the postcards get out of this?
So we're lucky enough to have a lot of the homes on the page sort of telling us when they receive the cards, telling us the impact that they're having. It makes a lot, they make a lot of difference to the residents, particularly now. It's a way to keep them in contact with their local community, and it's a way to keep them in contact with the world. They have a lot of opportunities to have conversations with other residents and staff members, so they're sort of almost opening a window to the rest of the world, and also to memories that sort of they're still there, but they're prompts for those memories.
Amazing. So what we're going to do at the end, we've had a comment from Justin, says he already loves the idea, and Justin's an amazing nurse that I've known for a few years, and he wants to connect with you, so I'll make that connection after the podcast, if you don't mind, because he says that there's a few ways that he thinks he can help with your project and vice versa. So that'd be good. That'd be good to do. How has Postcards for Kindness changed in the current situation? You know, as we tackle these challenging times and people are not travelling anymore.
we've had, I think a lot of the members have had to make adaptations of their own. We have sort of members who are self-isolating, who maybe feel a little guilty because they can't get out to post as many postcards, but that doesn't matter at all, because them just being part of the community and the conversation is what matters. The fact that we're able to help them, keep them in contact with everybody as well. We've actually had quite a sharp increase in care homes since a lot of them closed their doors. We sort of made quite an early decision to stop non-essential visitors, just to keep everybody safe. A lot of care homes have done the same. In fact, probably all of them have under the current lockdown. And a lot of them have found out about us and come to join in, because the postcards are something that they can still receive. We've had guidance from the Royal Mail that it's still safe to send posts and to receive posts. So a lot of them have come to find us after the fact, because it's a new way to make sure that residents are stimulated with conversation, but also so that they don't feel forgotten. So they're receiving posts from family, but also new friends as well. Yeah,
it's just another method of staying connected, isn't it? That's the thing. It's just that level of connection. Talk to me about the story you think describes the work you do at Postcards of Kindness the best.
Do you know what? I've been thinking about this long and hard since you sent over sort of the prompt questions, and I can't think of one. And I actually love the fact that I can't think of one single story, because it means that we've got so many success stories, so many heartwarming stories, that nothing sort of, I don't sort of have one that is singled out of all the rest.
Well, you know what?
Everything that we hear about and everything that we see is a lovely story. We did have one lady, I think, that came over to a care home from Australia. She'd been writing to them from Australia, and when she was over in the UK anyway, she went to see them and took sort of a presentation photos and things, so they got to see everything firsthand that she'd written about. Yeah. That was really lovely. I loved the impact of that on the residents.
But your Facebook group is full of stories, like jam-packed full of stories of amazing stuff going on. I mean, if I want cheering up, I'll go on to Postcards of Kindness and take a look at some of the really heartwarming stories. You know what's weird? It reminded me of a conversation we had on a podcast. It's got to be about 1.5 years ago now.
Was I there?
Did you? Yeah, you were hosting the podcast with me. Do you remember?
Yeah.
This was one of our conversations, not a guest interview. Okay. And one of our favourite shows was. I don't know if you remember it, Louise, or whether you ever saw it. It was Old People's Home for 8-year-olds. Did you ever see that show?
Yeah.
And what we loved about it, and again, like sort of, it was one of those things. It was like the first 10 minutes of Up. Like it was one of those shows where the room got a bit dustier and my tear ducts started to go a bit.
Especially the final episode.
What happened in the final episode?
They all did the presentation and they all got up and performed, and there was that woman and she hadn't danced in years because she thought she couldn't do it anymore, and the two guys held her up as she tap danced. It was
oh, I love that. You know what, that human connection, and spanning across generations is super powerful. And I'd imagine kids get into this, right? Writing postcards for the people in their care homes. Kids seem to love it, don't they? I know my daughter does.
They do. Yeah, they do. We've got a lot of schools that are taking part with key worker children, so there are still schools open looking after the key worker children, and they're almost sort of having it as a project to introduce different strains of creativity, community, to teach them a little bit about intergenerational friendships as well. So they're sort of having that as an educational tool. We've got children, obviously, who've got a very sort of real prospect of goodness knows how many weeks of not really knowing when they're going to see their friends again, but they're still able to keep in contact with the friends that they've made sort of either at school or with their parents via the postcards group as well. So it's really helping to keep the children connected as much as it is the residents. Yeah.
Do you think in that encouragement of intergenerational friendships in terms of what we can learn from each other is really important? Mm-hmm.
Definitely, yes, definitely. I think the fact that they're writing to the residents, and the residents in a lot of cases are writing back, the children love it just as much as the residents do, and I think they are getting a real insight into a different world, and it does remind them that there are people that live in very different circumstances to themselves. So it's been amazing to see those friendships form as well.
Oh, I love it, absolutely love it. what's the most remote place you've received a postcard from, and what's the postcard you've received most close to home? Now, just want to give some context on this. On the Kindness Project, we're often lucky enough to get approached with people who want to come on and tell their stories. And a lady that we really like, who does interestingly has got a project in China that connects Chinese students with the elderly in the UK. To befriend them, to help the Chinese students learn English, but also give some company to the elderly in the UK. And we're actually doing a live next week with Dina, who runs that organisation, to share her story. The next day, we've got an interview with a lady called Danielle, who literally lives 2 streets away. And it's interesting how you can kindness is universal, isn't it? You know, you can get stories from China, but stories right on your doorstep. So what postcards what stories have you had, like, from the furthest way away, but also right on your doorstep?
So we have quite a few people, particularly in lockdown, who might not necessarily be able to sort of send postcards too far. But if on their walk they pass a care home, they've been keeping in contact with them. So
they can drop it in.
Who have chosen to keep in contact with their local homes. Before lockdown, there were sort of quite a few that would, pop in and say hello. They'd become sort of volunteer befrienders almost. There are people that are writing to a care home in sort of their old local, so they might have grown up in a community and moved away, but they've chosen that community to write to. And then we've had postcards, similarly, as with your lady who's got the project in China. We've had postcards from China and Taiwan and the Americas. We've also got a group that have joined us in South Africa.
Okay.
So I would say probably the postcards that they're sending and receiving have probably been from sort of the furthest to remotest places. But it has been, a care home in the street next door and a care home on the other side of the world.
Amazing, good stuff.
So what's next for the Postcards for Kindness?
To be honest, I don't think we have any huge ambitions just yet, other than trying to keep going, because I think what we're doing at the moment has been particularly important to the homes, and it's really important to the senders, the people who are sending postcards as well. So I don't want to try and change the format or introduce anything different, because I know how much value people are getting from the project at the moment. So somebody else actually had an article quite recently asked a very similar question, and all I could think of saying was, we just want to keep up the good work.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a cliche, but that's all I'm really interested in at the moment. It's just making sure that those connections are being made. And if an opportunity arises, then we definitely jump for bigger and better things. But I'm satisfied with what we've got at the moment, because it's such a lovely community.
You know what? You don't want to lose that community feel, right? You don't want to.
No, we don't want to. If it's not broken, don't fix it. And I don't want to. There are little nuances, little things that we can change to make things easier for people. But I don't think we have any huge ambitions of changing the format, because people love what we do and we love what they do. So
yeah, it absolutely works. And was it because it started with your care homes? What was the jump to just making that just a genuinely more like sort of collaborative affair?
We realised, I keep referring to last year, but actually it was the year before. So when we ran it in 2018, just for our care homes, we were sort of, when we went viral, we had sort of a few local news articles and a few national as well. We were contacted by care homes who wanted to know if they sort of approached us really tentatively and said, could we steal the idea? And sort of my boss Vicky and I sort of looked at each other and just went, well, it's not ours, to be stolen, go for it. And then, so last year, in 2019, when we launched the Facebook group, the intention of that was to make sure that the homes who wanted to be involved could be, and they didn't have to feel like they were stealing anyone's idea or jumping on board with something else. We wanted them to know that there was a place where they could come. And similarly, we were approached by a lot of senders who said, I'd love to do this to a local care home, but I don't know if they want to hear from me. So again, it's a place where they can come and they know exactly who wants to hear from them. So it was sort of born from seeing how popular and how other care homes reacted the year we launched it. We wanted to do the collaboration sort of last year, leading into this year, because it's just carried on beyond our wildest dreams. It was just so that we could involve more people, and so they knew how to get started.
Absolutely love it. Thank you for doing it. It's amazing. Now I know where to find you, because that's the place that I go when I need a bit of good news.
But where can other people find you?
So we're a private group just because there are so many of us and we wanted to try and keep everybody nice and safe. But if you request a membership, with the membership questions, we can approve you. So search on Facebook for Postcards of Kindness - the group, and have a look through the information. Request to join, and we'll take it from there for you.
Amazing. Thank you for coming on, especially on a Sunday morning, right? And I know the kids.
Right.
I know the kids are gaming downstairs, and this is a bit of peace and quiet for you. So thanks for coming on and joining us. We really appreciate it.
That's all right.
Now, what we're going to do is just mention some of the questions of the podcast. Paula mentioned the fine work that Andy's doing, and Dunkirk said, love this idea. We all love helping out. So if you're not a member of the Postcards of Kindness Facebook group, get on there, join, and just get involved. It's such a really easy way to support the people, to support the people who are involved with that. And certainly a lot of the conversations we have on the Kindness Project are about loneliness. Particularly as people get older, and there's some amazing initiatives out there. One podcast that we did was a guy called Jason, who's part of the Age UK incentive that is a befriending scheme, and there's loads of befriending schemes out there where you can spend half an hour every week talking to somebody who's loneliness. And what was really interesting about Jason's story was that he found that like it started off him wanting to give back, and he's a friend with this lady in Liverpool who's in her 90s, and their mutual love for music, particularly the Beatles in that occasion, meant that they're just mates now and they just get on really well. So please get involved with Postcards for Kindness. It's one of my favourite causes, and I'm sure that if you join the group, it'll be one of yours too. But let's talk about something super serious. Off the back of what's your favourite ice cream flavour, we're now on
What's your favourite crisp flavour?
And so Charlotte's going to tell you some of the answers.
Okay, so Lucy Patrick says prawn cocktail. Cassie Dames, hi Mum!
Sitting over there. Well, apparently we don't communicate by voice anymore. We just go.
We communicate via Facebook and Spotify.
Well, we were talking in Friday's podcast about the fact that you only now respond to me via Spotify messages.
Me out of the Spotify.
Yeah, true.
Okay, Cassie Dames, hi Mum, says sausage and tomato, and there's a reply to that about that not being so nice, I guess. Tracy Dames says salt and vinegar. Steve Dan, is that?
Steve Dan, yeah.
There's no extra way to pronounce that extra F.
No.
Cheese and
no,
onion.
it's not Steve Dan. No. Go on.
Hayley Ball said beef Monster Munch. Oh yeah, I love a good.
What are we thinking about Monster Munch, Louise? Are we up for Monster Munch?
Oh yeah, definitely. Either the roast beef or the pickled onion. Though I'm not a huge spice fan, so the flaming hot ones weren't so great. But pickled onion definitely.
Catherine Knowles, that's how you say it, isn't it?
Well, apparently there's a lady who follows the podcast and is a friend called Eve Keith, who on Twitter, and you can find that at Eve Keith, I think it's 1979, started a World Cup of crisps recently where she's pitting crisps against each other. So Catherine just said, look, have you seen what's going on Twitter?
Caroline Thompson, tomato ketchup. Georgia Costi.
Salt and vinegar.
There we go.
Carol Staunton said co-op own brand salt and vinegar. Now that's going back to what, you know what? We had a conversation on the podcast, right? And I've never heard this before. Apparently there's a thing, Louise, called off-brand chocolate. Like not a Snicker, but a Snacker. Or whatever it is. And Charlotte's a fan of... Have you ever had an off-brand chocolate?
Yes. Yeah.
What's your favourite off-brand chocolate?
Do you know what? I can't think of any. it's usually the supermarket owners, isn't it? But I actually found a thread the other day where they had sort of the off-brand ones, and there was one called a Cot Cat, which was a Kit Kat.
A Cot Cat.
Absolutely the same packaging, but they've got round it by changing the name ever so slightly. That looks quite interesting.
Weirdly, that's my next Google search. A Cot Cat. I want to get a bit of Cot Cat in my life. The weird thing is, this time last year, we were just getting back from being in Japan, and Japan has got hundreds of flavours of Kit Kat. So we had, what did we have?
Sakura, matcha, green tea.
Are you just saying words now, or what? Yeah, there is just loads and loads of different Kit Kats, but I've never had a Cot Cat. I need to get one in my life, I think.
Yeah, you do.
Mark Newman said Walker's Max flame grilled steak. Tamsin Kane said the Aldi, specifically Aldi, sea salt and balsamic vinegar. That sounds quite nice. Trev Robinson just said old school Trev, fish and chips. They're quite good. David Dennison said beef and onion. What are you thinking about?
Serena Duffy said smoky bacon or prawn cocktail. Hazel Grace said Worcestershire sauce or pickled onion.
Margaret Nash said Walker's prawn cocktail. Nick Ramsden said scampi and lemon knickknacks. And John Sharman loves this answer because he's not just given the answer to the crisp, right? What he's done, he started the answer and then posted a packet of the crisps as a picture, right? So this is what he says. I tell you what, Chris Dames, give these ones a little go. You won't be disappointed. And they are McCoy's Chip Shop curry sauce.
Oh, crikey.
Why are you saying...
Look how many more answers we got, and then there's 8 more on Twitter.
Okay, so Joshua Cartwright said hot and spicy Monster Munch. Alison Williams said my husband would definitely say salt and vinegar. Sharon Adkins said, now... here is my specialist subject. She really likes this one. Walker's Sensations Chicken and Thyme. That is a good choice. Worse than heroin, apparently. I don't know. To be honest, I've had a pack of Walker's Sensations chicken and thyme, but I haven't tried the other one, so I'm not really the person to comment. Prawn cocktail or salt and vinegar, said Kelly Crouchman, and Johnny Piper said pickled onion Monster Munch. And I'll let you do the ones on Twitter, Charlotte.
Yes, okay. Susan Pringle, appropriate name for this question.
Oh yeah, that's it. I reckon I'm going to change my name by default to Chris Salt and Vinegar. What are you going to go for?
I say Kringle there, and I was like...
Chris Kringle Pringle.
Okay, Susan Pringle said prawn cocktail or salt and vinegar that stings your tongue.
And Susan's husband then bought her home a pack of fish and chips, which is good. Damien Clyburn said there are lots of nice ones. Paprika are good, but always revert back to cheese and onion Walkers.
MP?
Yep.
Okay, salt and vinegar, classic and everlasting.
MP, if that's your real name, on Twitter.
Lots of stars after your name.
MP star. Tony Slimmins, if that's your real name, Tony, said on between Marmite and Worcester sauce. And Ed said Worcester sauce, definitely. Charlie Goodman said, Eve keeps running a hot debate. I eat a lot of barbecue pop chips. Now, I've been getting into pop chips. Mum gets pop chips, and they're quite nice, aren't they?
Sure.
Have you had a pop chip, Louise?
I don't think I have, no.
Yeah, really, really nice. Give them a go. And Catherine Morgan's agreed, saying Frazzles. Frazzles are a good choice. I love a frazzle. Nicola Harley's gone old school with salt and vinegar. Richard has said hedgehog flavour, real thing, look it up. Sean Cole said cheese and onion, and Bethan Davies has gone definitive and said the only answer to this question is prawn cocktail. Now, clearly, that's not the only answer because we've had a million different answers, but Bethan, whatever floats your boat. Now, 'tis the end, but the end is now not the end until we've had a really, really interesting, I'd say, joke. Now, Louise, prepare to be... Charlotte's thing at the end now of every podcast is to tell us a joke.
That is absolutely terrible.
Prepare to be underwhelmed. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. What's the difference between a guitar and a fish?
Go on.
You can tune a guitar, but you can't tune a fish.
That's a classic.
Don't laugh, Louise. It only encourages her. Please don't. She'll do it again next time. Now you've laughed. And on that note, my friends, thank you to Louise for coming on and just frankly, I mean, just for the joke, that wasn't worth it. But thank you. We really appreciate you sharing your story about Postcards of Kindness.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.